What if you could get paid for your social media posts? Sounds amazing, right? Well, guess what? Welcome to the future. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to a new concept that's been popping up on the internet called SocialFi or SoFi. Essentially, SoFi is a decentralized sort of collective approach to social media and content platforms that allow users to earn tokens for creating, curating, and sharing content. In this video, we're going to explore what it does, how it works, who stands behind it, all with some quick demo videos at the end so you can just see how easy it is for a content creator to not only generate side income, but to actually create full-time and earn big. Hey, I'm Anton. Welcome to TRASTRA. This cool new invention is sweeping across the globe, changing everything we know about social networks by removing all of their flaws while still maintaining what made them great in the first place. So let me take you through the whole thing step by step. So tell you the whole story of this thing becoming a great, important innovation for our future world and a highly lucrative investment opportunity if you know what you're doing. I cannot emphasize that enough. You have to know what you're doing. So what I ask you is to watch this video to the end, and I will show you what's going to happen with this new exciting trend because it's highly unpredictable right now. But I do have a few predictions and a few opinions, and if you have your own, please by all means share it in the comment section and hit the like button below and the work. So let's get right into it. So you may be hearing right now that mass adoption of crypto is slow. Well, it's not true. Crypto is basically, really sweeping through the globe with a very wide broom because the use case for crypto is very, very apparent. It's a great investment vehicle, first of all, and secondly, it's a great payment instrument. So these are two major use cases right now that are, that people are finding being highly how do you say that, utilizable, I don't know, that bring a lot of utility in their daily lives. So we're already sitting on some very impressive statistics when it comes to crypto use cases. For example, we have over 300 million active wallets that are registered on multiple blockchains, and we have probably up to 100 million users throughout the world that are actively involved in crypto trading or using crypto in one way or another. So I'm old enough to remember the nascent years of the internet. When people really marveled at that brand new technology, but very few people actually realized what's so great about it, what it can do for them. There was too many use cases for the internet. I mean, by then everybody had already learned how to use email and everything, but other than that, the read and write internet was not efficient enough for what came in the 2000s, and technologically it was unable to support all the aspirations of young businesses that wanted to trade things online, sell pet food online and everything. So there was a lot of use cases for the internet, but the technology was unable to support that. Hence, .com crash came, and after that, but with the launch of social media, particularly Facebook in 2004, the whole dynamic changed. I mean, the internet saw an influx of new users from across the globe who perceived it to be one of mankind's greatest innovations. And now blockchains come into the picture, and it brings even more promise to social media. And this is basically what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the promise of decentralized social media that's blockchain based, and the reality of the creator economy that we're facing every day now. So, well, let's just get right into it. We've got a lot of ground to cover. We're not going to talk too much about Meta and Facebook because this story is already played. Long story short, it's probably the most intense jump to Web3 to date because it's widely publicized, and the Zuckerberg's personality has been doing the rounds in social media, on regular media, mainstream media, alternative media. I mean, every single blogger at one point or another had voiced an opinion on what's going on with Facebook, whether or not it's a smart move to turn it towards Metaverse, and whether or not Deem Coin's gonna, I hope you remember the Deem debacle, but so it's already played. We're not gonna go into that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the concept of social financing and try to figure out whether or not it is out to bring us real tangible gains, or it's just a passing fancy that will, go quietly into the night a few years. All right, so what is SocialFi or social financing? There are actually two trends, and both are, making the airwaves right now, because one trend had popped up right after 2008. I'm sure you remember the housing crisis and the financial crisis that the entire planet's gone through, so you should remember that. That was the time when, rank and file consumers like you and I have looked at banks, looked at the financial sector, and said to themselves, screw it, we want to do it differently. That was the time when micro-lending and social lending and all kinds of in-between people, peer-to-peer lending had started to appear. And it was highly successful because the concept was brand new. This is the one that I was talking about. SoFi is probably the most glaring example of social financing, centralized social financing. This is not a blockchain. This is not something that supports non-custodial wallets or anything. This is basically a web platform, a social banking platform that supports peer-to-peer lending and other operations. If you look at it, the website's done beautifully, and all the little checkers right here basically tell you what SoFi can do for you. Full disclosure, I'm not being paid by SoFi, even though they can afford, toss a few bucks my way, but never mind that. That's a joke, by the way. This is basically a peer-to-peer lending platform where you can do anything you wish with your money, with somebody else's money, but it's centralized, meaning that whatever you go through on this platform is being controlled from a centrally situated headquarters. But the point is, this is what's called peer-to-peer lending that involves, you can get a house mortgage on that, you can get an auto loan, you can get anything refinanced, and the algorithm for qualifying borrowers is very sophisticated. It's actually two companies, one that does the lending, and the other, SoFi, is purely a technology company. So these two are sort of conflated into one mechanism that provides social lending, banking, old banking style. This is a persistent trend that, even though it's platforms like SoFi and others, there are quite a few others, are calling themselves social lending platforms, it's basically a web-based bank where centralized authority disperses funds and approves applicants, etc., etc. I'm not a huge fan of that concept, but it exists. It's making money. SoFi stock's been falling over the last few months. I don't think it has anything to do with the technological prowess of the platform and the underlying technology and the underlying idea, because the idea itself is stellar. The execution, on the other hand, we can talk about that, but we're not gonna. So another trend that I think a lot more valuable than the one we just talked about with SoFi.com and peer-to-peer lending online, centralized peer-to-peer lending online, is what's called a creator's economy. We've actually produced a couple of videos on this topic. We have a great video called The Gods of the Metaverse that I encourage you to watch. And we produced a video on decentralized autonomous organizations that are supporting such endeavors. And this trend is actually right up the DAO alley. And we have a video on that. I'm going to include the link to that in the description, and it's going to be somewhere up here. But right now, I'm going to give you some examples of some of the pillars of the creator's economy so you understand what I'm talking about and decide for yourself whether or not this is the environment you want to find yourself in, and if this is an investment that you want to look at in the future. So what I love is Foundation. I'm sure you know what that is. It's not a social network per se, but it's an NFT auction platform, sort of like OpenSeas, that provides space for artists, for digital artists, to put up their art and sell it off the auction, and basically interact with their community, with their potential and current clients, and basically get involved with anyone who can appreciate their art. One thing that's really funny about this, and this is right now, I mean, we're recording this video, this is unprepared, this is unscripted. I'm looking at Foundation and I'm being greeted by this weird dude who's done this NFT on his mobile phone, and he's breathing in some dope, and it's called Draft Night. This is an NFT. This is a sample of digital art that's being put up for auction right now, and it's the current bid is 1.5 ETH, which in dollar terms is about $1,500, maybe a little less than that. When you try to imagine people paying $1,500 for something like this, you sort of, you kick back and you think to yourself, what a weird, to say the least, invention. But you need to look past that. What's really valuable about platforms like Foundation is the fact that artists, and many of those artists are very valid. I mean, art is highly subjective, but right now I don't want you to look at it in terms of whether or not it's good or bad art. We're not talking about the quality of art on those platforms. We're talking about the technology that's enabling so many people to do so many brand new different things that they were unable to do a year ago. Well, not a year ago, a couple years ago. So Foundation is basically, they don't have their own token yet as far as I know, but it's basically a technological company that enables artists to socialize their art and create communities around their pieces and sell them off the auction. And some of the pieces are absolutely marvelous. So I encourage you to look at this platform right here. It's pretty awesome. Well, this one goes back a while, the Rally token. If you spend any amount of time in this space, you know what Rally is, and its token is naturally, I mean, it's absolutely obvious that Rally is a great investment opportunity, but again, we're not talking about investing right now. I don't want you to get carried away and think to yourself that, hey, I'm gonna buy up as much Rally as I can and just sit back and watch my fortune grow. This is not what this video is all about. I want you to get into this concept of social financing better so you can make long-term strategic decisions. Whether you're a digital artist or a crypto investor, it doesn't really matter, because this thing is upon us, and I think we ought to be paying very large amount of attention to it, because this is our future, whether you like it or not. Rally is a great token, actually. I mean, if you look at it year to date, you may see that it's actually where it was a year ago. But if you can see the largest splashes, the tallest peaks with those coins were actually in September, October last year, when Zuckerberg came out with his announcement that the Facebook is going to rebrand into Meta and go into the Metaverse. So all these tokens have jumped up tremendously. I'm a little skeptical about this whole thing if I discuss it in those terms, because it's only a matter of time. I mean, we all remember the Deem debacle with Facebook trying to come up with its own cryptocurrency. That passed away. But what is important to remember is that technologically, it's only a matter of time before people like, I don't know, Elon Musk or Zuckerberg or some other whale of the industry will figure out the way to attach a digital, it's probably going to be a custodial wallet to their social platform and start earning real big. That will probably be the time when social networking as we know it today will absolutely disappear. It will die. So when they figure out how to attach legally a custodial or non-custodial wallet to a social networks, this will be the time when this whole thing is going to transform irrevocably. I mean, you're not going to recognize that today's social media after you're actually able to not only, make dumb posts on Facebook every day, but you're actually able to trade and use crypto on that platform. So Rally, I really like it because it's more or less also a creator's platform but it's not an auction platform. It's actually a social network where creators are not only able to trade NFTs and showcase their art, but they're actually able to create their own tokens and trade them on this platform and put up on any other platform that accepts the ERC standard. So this is really great. I encourage you to look into this and explore this platform. The whole thing, the user experience is tremendous. It's really great to spend time doing this. So I highly recommend you spend a little time and get a little deeper into this thing. The Rally token is on Coinbase, so the support by Coinbase alone is probably one of the most encouraging factors for me. If you remember the very first musical NFT, I think it was Kings of Leon that came out with released their album as an NFT. It was a couple of years ago, I think about a year ago or so. And the same thing on the Rally platform with Portugal the Man. If you're familiar with this band, I am. I love it. And they've done a lot of great things with Rally. I urge you to check out the actual story of releasing an NFT on Rally is pretty amazing. I'm going to drop some links to that in the description so you guys can, learn more about it. Okay, so Library is another example of a great SocialFi platform where creators come to publish their videos. And you notice that Odyssey is here. I'm sure you're aware of Odyssey. It's a platform for someone who wants to alternate from YouTube. And I'm not going to go into the social fascism on YouTube. We're not going to go into that right now. I hate censorship. I hate when other people decide what's great for other people and what should be silenced. I think it's a very vile practice. So it's really flourishing right now and creators really feel it on their skin. So platforms like Odyssey and subsequently Library basically give you an outlet if you have some creative energy, boiling over in your brain, and you want to find a way to actually lay it on people. This is probably one of the most important platforms for that right now. One thing about Library, and for that matter, some other social financing platform where creators put up their art for everyone to see. I think the mistake that people make when they look at these things, they compare it consciously or subconsciously. They compare it with all the social networks that are already in use by the community at large. If I look at Library and I compare it to Facebook, the comparison definitely is not to Library's advantage. And I want you to not do it. Do not do it. This is not another Facebook. Library and other platforms on my list, we're going to get to those a little later, but those are not platforms that are competing with Twitter or Facebook or Twitch or some other highly centralized social network that is passed on to a wider public as something really progressive and really free, and in reality is basically just run by a bunch of wigs from a boardroom. That's not it. The key aspect of what we're talking about and what is valuable about SocialFi is decentralization, is freedom of creators to do whatever they want with their art and build their communities without having to look back on somebody, holding them back, banning their accounts, not allowing them, their creative outlets to get monetized. So this is what we're fighting here. And I think platforms like Library and Foundation and others on the list, I think this is the most valuable thing about it. So do not make the mistake of comparing these things to the existing social network platforms, to the existing giants of this industry, because this is not what we're doing. We're not competing with them. We're basically creating a parallel universe for people to decide for themselves which universe they want to live in. And that's basically it. This is a SocialFi platform I think is making the exact mistake that I just described. The exact mistake. It's trying to compete with Facebook. It's a bad move, man. You're not going to be able to compete with Facebook. The only difference that it makes with Facebook is that you're actually able to connect your wallet to it. And like I mentioned before, it's just a matter of time before Zuckerberg figures out how to do the exact same thing. And you're going to be in the toilet. Bad move, SoMe. Bad move. The only two wallets that you can work with, that you can hook up to SoMe is MetaMask, which we all know what that is, and the Hive Wallet that I really love. And the reason I love is that in itself is the Hive Wallet is already a social networking system, the social financing system that provides you with an extremely versatile ecosystem. Just check this out. These are the platforms that Hive Wallet is active on, and basically it covers everything from GameFi to social financing to creation to creator economy and everything and anything that's out there. So I would suggest that you just scrap SoMe. I think that thing is done. I just basically showed it to you as an example of how not to do social financing. Anyway, go to Hive and check it out. Check out the ecosystem. It's really great. Every project on this network is really marvelous in its own right. So go check that out. Here's another social financing platform that I wanted to show you. It's Audius. Audius is basically a platform for young artists for young musicians to showcase their music. I find it a little underwhelming right now, and not in terms of the technology, but in terms of the quality of the actual music that's on there. And the actual quality of the tracks, I mean, the bit rate and everything is 360 hertz, which is higher than Spotify. I mean, on Spotify you can get that, but you have to pay a monthly fee of, I think, $14 to get a high bit rate on Spotify. That's something you don't that comes natively on Audius. That's one thing that really attracts me as a musician myself. And secondly, the Audius token's already in circulation, and it's really doing very well. Two things that I wanted to point out about this platform is that do not pay any attention to the quality of the actual music. I find it a little underwhelming. I already mentioned that, but please don't do it. I think it's a mistake that a lot of people make, is to look at the actual quality of the art on NFT platforms or quality of music on music platforms. I think it's the wrong way to look at it. You have to look at two things. You have to look general interest to the concept, whether it's being looked at by the unassuming public, whether or not there are articles being written about it, whether or not people are actually expressing interest to platforms like that, decentralized platforms for showcasing art by young artists. And the second thing that you ought to look at is the technology, is the actual underlying technology that allows people to, compete with each other, peer-to-peer on decentralized basis, and, put up their art and discuss it and create community around it. And if the technology is stellar, which it is, the thing is going to go places. Whether or not it's token, in the toilet right now, which is the case with Rally token, for example, or its token is doing relatively well, which is the case with Audius right now, I think. It's doing pretty good. I don't think it matters at all because, like I said, the two things that are important when it comes to new things on the internet, let's call it that, the new trends on the internet, which is SocialFi, the SoFi, is the underlying technology and whether or not we're able to build a narrative around people's interest to something that goes on. And in this case, in particular, I think in both instances, we can safely say that both are right and we're moving in the right direction. So I think Audius is going to go places. Go check that out. Finally, Theta. As a theater man myself, when I first saw this thing, it really sounded like theater. So I really loved the way it named. Naturally, this is not the main benefit of the platform, that it's very aptly named. The main benefit is its underlying technology. This is basically a platform that allows you to use the bandwidth of your dormant computer when you're not using it. But you're still hooked up to the internet. So the bandwidth that your machine's not using can be used by creators elsewhere. I think it's extremely important, and the technology works really well. I mean, just imagine you're a young artist in Ethiopia or Somalia where internet's not that great, or in Afghanistan. So it's vital for you to get access to extra bandwidth so you can showcase your art. Just imagine that you're a young documentary maker that who's being kicked off YouTube because what you do is not exactly compliant with YouTube's user policy. And those are draconian. I mean, I know for a fact that there's some very talented, very in-demand creators on YouTube right now are struggling because, because of its politics. So those are the people that are finding alternative ways to showcase their art, their videos, and Theta as an instrument for that is absolutely vital. So I think the technology is great. The narrative around it is also very interesting. So I think Theta is going to go places. And go check that out. I mean, again, do not make the same mistake with Theta as you would with SoMe, with Audius. Do not compare SoMe with Facebook. Do not compare Audius with Spotify. Do not compare Theta with YouTube. These are not the avenues that we want to explore. These are not projects that are designed to compete with centralized platforms like YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. It's not. This is parallel universe, and it's up to you if you want to live in this universe or not, if you want to create in this universe, if you want to showcase your art and be able to monetize it in a decentralized manner where nobody tells you which currency to sell your art for, who to sell it to, how to frame your narrative so it complies with the platform's rules. It's basically what you do with your art is entirely up to you. So on that positive thought that I think Theta and the rest of the entries on my list are going to go places no matter what, I'm positive that something great is going to happen to all those platforms and all the people that are hard at work, working on creators' economy and making it yours and mine reality. On that positive thought, I'm going to leave you for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like the content, share it, subscribe to the channel. I cannot stress this enough. And most importantly, I'm looking forward to your comments because you can probably tell we're kind of new at YouTubing, so we really want to know what you guys think, whether or not the content we produce is up your alley, or you want us to do something differently, or you want us to cover some subjects that we haven't been able to get to yet. So just please stay in touch, follow us on social media, and with that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.